Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we've got a brand new one to the channel that we're going to be introducing. The name is Coya Therapeutics, and I'm really excited about this company for a number of reasons we're going to lay out in today's presentation. Before we get into it though, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding shares of Coya Therapeutics, what you thought of their business model, and how you think they stack up to some of the other players in this space. Now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be profiling Coya Therapeutics Incorporated, trades under the ticker COYA on the NASDAQ exchange in the United States. As you can see here, a fairly strong trading session, up 25 cents or just north of 6%. This is as of close on Thursday, March 2nd, to close out at $4.39, giving Koya a market cap sub $50 million in this extremely high growth and exciting therapeutic sector. Now, Koya is relatively new to the public markets. It was actually the last NASDAQ IPO of 2022, which is an interesting fact here. You can see they've been trading relatively flat compared to their IPO. If we go back to the end of December of last year, you're looking at a share price of about $4.57. They actually hit a low on February 27th of $3.85. And since then, they've been on a nice little uptrend here, really presenting a great opportunity to start doing your own research or taking a look a little bit more seriously at Coya Therapeutics as a potential investment for 2023. Now, for those of you who are unaware of Coya Therapeutics and what their business model is all about, they're really focused on unleashing the power of Tregs. And we're going to talk about what Tregs are in a second here. So 3 Treg therapeutic modalities addressing neurodegenerative, autoimmune, and metabolic diseases. So Koya has really pioneered the ability to isolate these dysfunctional T cells known as Tregs. Again, we're going to look at a definition in a second here from a patient. They then convert these dysfunctional T cells or Tregs to a highly functional and neuroproductive condition, and then expand these cells into the billions for intravenous reinfusion back into the patient. So we've talked about some of these type of companies previously where they extract T cells from the patient, they then multiply those cells and re-inject or reinfuse the cells into the body for therapeutic benefits. That's exactly what Coya Therapeutics is doing here, but specifically looking at these dysfunctional T cells or Tregs. And what's really exciting about this technology is Koya has actually discovered a correlation in the decline of these Treg or dysfunctional cells to the rate of clinical decline in ALS, Alzheimer's, and other neurodegenerative diseases. So we're going to talk about some of those use cases in a little bit more detail as we move through today's presentation. And if we continue to scroll down here, you can see they're enhancing the regulatory T cells or Tregs through multiple product modalities. They're a clinical stage company focused on developing those multi-modality Treg therapies, again for neurodegenerative, autoimmune, and metabolic diseases. So a huge addressable market for this technology. And with that being said, we're now going to take a closer look at exactly what a Treg is. So regulatory T cells or Tregs are a specialized subpopulation of T cells that act to suppress immune response in the patient, thereby maintaining homeostasis and self-tolerance. And homeostasis is essentially a state of balance. It has been shown that Tregs are able to inhibit T cell proliferation and cytokine production and play a critical role in preventing autoimmunity. Now the second definition here does a good job of filling out that explanation. So they're white blood cells that regulate your immune system response, and Tregs control how your immune system reacts to unwelcome substances from the outside and within or inside your body. So again, very similar to some of the other T cell treatments we've covered on the channel, but a little bit more specialized in terms of what a Treg exactly is. And again, working directly with your body's immune system to ensure that it's able to fight off potential problems, whether those are coming from outside the body or within the patient's own body. Now, as you can imagine, with a company like Koya that's really on the cutting edge or cusp of therapeutic technology, there's a ton of research and development and science behind this company. And you can see that they're actually pioneering the research and development of new therapies to enhance the function of these regulatory T cells, again known as Tregs. So Dr. Shimon Sakaguchi, who's a member of the Scientific Advisory Board, discovered Tregs back in 1995, and since then there's been a ton of development in this space, really positioning this technology for its breakthrough, which you're getting with Coya Therapeutics. Now, the next section of this page really talks about Tregs and how they function within the patient's body. So you can see the three core functions of Tregs are to ameliorate inflammatory mechanisms and reactions. So essentially improving something that's unsatisfactory or bad in the patient's body, inhibit the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines, and maintain that self-tolerance or balance within the patient's body. So you can see there's healthy Tregs and dysfunctional Tregs. So on the healthy Treg side of things, these are important anti-inflammatory immune cells that are involved in that homeostasis process. Tregs act on multiple immune cells to downregulate the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines. So keep that balance between anti-inflammatory and pro-inflammatory cells within the body. And then there's dysfunctional Tregs, which is where a cytokine-mediated inflammatory state can arise, leading to either neurodegenerative, autoimmune, or metabolic diseases. So you can see that imbalance within the patient's body that is really causing issues to arise. And from there, they then go on to talk about the various different technologies or use cases. So Coya 301, Coya 302, and the Coya 200 series, which we're going to talk about as we get into the company's investor presentation. And I should note, I'll leave a link to the company website in the video description below if you'd like to go in and take a closer look at some of this information for yourself. And last but not least, Coya Therapeutics also has their Coya 101 technology, which is really focused on a therapy for the treatment of ALS, which again we're going to look at in a second here. And on the topic of ALS, this article was actually released on February 27th of this year, so very recently, and it talks about a huge near-term catalyst for Coya Therapeutics as they're presenting the ALS clinical study data for its investigational biologic combination at the 2023 Muscular Dystrophy Association MDA Clinical and Scientific Conference. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on here. They're looking to present data from their proof of concept open label clinical study. This is featuring the Coya 302 technology. And again, looking at the relationship or regulation of T cells or Treg function in relation to ALS. Now, the conference itself is scheduled to take place in Dallas, Texas from March 19th to March 22nd, so coming up in a couple of weeks here. And again, this should bring a lot of awareness to the technology and the development that we're seeing from the team at Coya Therapeutics and one of the practical use cases or applications for this technology. Now, a little bit later in today's presentation, we're going to talk about some of these study results, specifically the ALS FRS R scale findings and results from this study, but a ton of really exciting activity going on here, and definitely something I wanted to include in today's presentation. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the presentation, Coya Therapeutics is really on the cutting edge of developing this technology. So as you can imagine, this has been an evolutionary process, and you can see some of the major milestones laid out on this slide here, which again comes from the investor presentation. So back in 2016, this is where they first got preclinical data for their Coya 101 technology. So you can see Treg dysfunction in ALS patients predicting survivability. Fast forward to 2017, again, Coya 101 showing positive phase 1 studies in ALS treatment. And you can see up top here some of the highlights. So well tolerated by the patient, promising biological activity, and a reduction in key biomarkers associated with ALS. In 2021, that's where Coya 101 showed positive phase 2A studies, again targeted at ALS patients. So well tolerated, biological activity confirmed, and confirmation of those key biomarkers. And fast forward to 2022, so last year, this is really when they started to look at their Coya 300 series. And what's exciting here is you can now see they're looking at the relationship between Treg function and FTD, which stands for Frontotemporal Dementia, and opens up a huge new audience for this technology. Now, in addition to their Coya 301 technology, they've also got Coya 302. This is focused again around AD and ALS, and once again opens the door for a new potential use case for this Treg therapy or Treg technology. Now, the next slide I wanted to display really talks about their pipeline or drug development pipeline. And as you can see, they've got a variety of different technologies that are at various different stages within the pipeline of development. So the Coya 301 and Coya 302 technology, which we just talked about, are in the IND-enabling phase. which stands for Investigational New Drug. You can see some of the upcoming milestones or key catalysts for Coya Therapeutics listed on the right here, with a number of milestones taking place in the first and second half of 2023. They then have their Coya 201 technology, again focused on neurodegenerative, autoimmune, and metabolic diseases. This is in the preclinical stage. And then their Coya 206 technology, currently showing undisclosed indications and sitting in the discovery phase. Now, if you look down to the bottom of the page, you can see their Treg cell therapy technology, Coya 101, which is the furthest along in terms of the pipeline and has just completed their phase 2A clinical studies, which will be initiating or moving into phase 2B in 2024. So what I really like here from an investment standpoint is it's a well-diversified company that's using their technology, their research, their development, and management's experience in the healthcare industry to really address a number of potential diseases or use cases with the Treg research that they've conducted. Now, with that being said, I now wanted to fill out or expand on a few of these key use cases in a little bit more detail. So the first one here is really focused on the evolution of inflammation in dementia and understanding the role of systemic inflammation in Alzheimer's disease and the way in which Tregs or this Treg technology can counteract this disease. So you can see in 2023, they're looking to get their first clinical data with the Coya 300 series in dementia patients. And as we talked about a little bit earlier, frontotemporal dementia or FTD is a group of disorders that occur when nerve cells in the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain are lost. So FTD can affect behavior, personality, language, and movement, which unfortunately a lot of us have seen firsthand with our aging relatives, with symptoms typically starting between the age of 40 and 65. Now, the problem with FTD is there's currently no approved products to prevent, cure, or slow the progression of FTD. So a great opportunity for Coya Therapeutics to develop a product that's going to lead to meaningful change in the lives of these patients and the lives of their family members. Now, they then go on to talk about their Coya 302 technology, which again is focused on the treatment of ALS. They've completed their phase 1 study, which is a proof of concept trial. So these are interim results here. And I should note that the study is ongoing at the Houston Methodist Hospital. Houston, Texas is really a hotbed for medical and scientific technology. They've got an entire medical district or medical downtown in the city, which is really quite impressive to see. And we're starting to see some really promising results from this Coya 302 treatment. So again, I would encourage you guys to go in and take a closer look at some of these results for yourself if you're thinking about making an investment in Coya Therapeutics. Now, another key slide I wanted to review today talks about the Coya 206 technology. So this is the one that's labeled as undisclosed indications on the development pipeline slide. What's exciting here is they actually have a partnership with Carnegie Mellon University, and Coya has secured an option to acquire the worldwide rights to exosome engineering technology from Carnegie Mellon University. So although the Coya 206 technology is a little bit further behind in terms of their development pipeline, this is super exciting and a huge catalyst on the horizon for any potential investors. Now, saving the best for last, or at least the technology that's furthest along in terms of its development pipeline, is Coya 101. So you can see the results from their phase 2A clinical studies below here. And what's so exciting or promising here is 6 of the 8 patients involved in this study showed intermediate to no progression of their ALS-FRS-R score. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, the revised ALS function rating scale, or ALS-FRS-R scale, is the most widely accepted and validated outcome measure of ALS activity. And each point that a patient decreases on this scale represents a loss of capability in performing fundamental activities of daily life. So the fact that the Coya 101 technology could essentially stop the progression of ALS in its tracks for 6 out of 8 of these patients is a massive breakthrough for Coya Therapeutics and for the people that are struggling with this condition. Now, with that being said, before I let you guys go today, I couldn't finish the video without talking about the leadership team at Coya Therapeutics. This is really an all-star cast here, you guys, headed by Howard Berman, who's a PhD. He's the CEO and chairman of the board. He's got prior experience at AbbVie, Lilly, I'm Aware, Novartis, and the MD Anderson Cancer Center, which are some of the most well-known and highly regarded organizations in the healthcare world. Now, next to Howard, we've got a wealth of experience and again, an impressive resume in terms of former positions and employers, ranging from Eagle Pharmaceuticals to Cardinal Health, and a wealth of knowledge contained on the board of directors as well. So for those reasons, you guys, I think Coya Therapeutics definitely deserves to be on your watch list if you're looking for exposure to the high growth, exciting T-cell space within the medical sector. This is one that I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on. Again, they just IPO'd at the end of last year. They've got impressive technology. They've got diversified applications or use cases for this technology, and one of the best and most experienced management teams among any of the health-related companies that we've covered on the channel. Now, I'd be super curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section below on Coya Therapeutics, if you're currently holding shares, and how you think their technology stacks up to some of the other players in this space. If you're still watching the video at this point in time, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you hit the like button. And if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.